This is episode 53 with Ashley Wood. Every ounce of your being is made up of molecules of energy vibrating at different frequencies that determine your experience here on planet Earth.
This podcast's intention is to inspire you to elevate the vibration of your energy for yourself and for all of us. This is The Elevator.
Hop on in and ride into the ethers with Britt and Tara of Elevate the Globe.
The Akashic Records are a non-physical record. It's not an actual book that you can open up. It's a vibrational record of every experience, emotion, anything that has ever happened to you from the time your soul was created up until the present, as well as future possibilities.
So this episode is brought to you by our new program that we're so excited to announce and launch, and it is Elevate Higher. So this is our 21-day challenge to detox your energy field, reset your vibration, and attract wild abundance. So it's actually a workbook, a full book that you will be able to order on Amazon or get the online version, digital only, if you want to go that route. But we really want to share today the save the date.
I know. So we're going to be going live starting on March 18th and spending 21 days, 3 full weeks together, detoxing your energy field, resetting your vibration, and really opening you up to receive abundance from all areas of your life, like finances, your relationships, career, and beyond, anything that you want. So this is kind of like a way deeper version of our 5-day Raise Your Vibration Challenge. So that we just hosted last month, which was so fun. There were so many of you who joined us. So this is yet again another challenge where we will go deeper and it will have very big transformative effects for you.
Absolutely.
If you are committing to it.
Yes. So if you feel that you've fallen off track with your 2019 intentions, this is about the time. We're getting into March here where that can start to happen. So no worries, but this is really why we're launching this now as we're going into spring, because this is really an amazing opportunity to course correct and just really dive deep with us. And the thing about this is it's really customized for your life because it's a workbook. So we go into so many concepts, but there's also journal prompts every day. So this is really a deep dive into yourself. And, it's really us guiding you to help all your vision boards and everything you're manifesting for this year really come to life and release anything that's holding you back from doing that.
Yeah. So this is going to be fun. Again, 3 weeks together. You can order the workbook on Amazon or get it the digital version and do it with us. But, it's kind of fun to have the actual workbook to actually write things down in it and have a little place for you. It's almost like a journal in a way. So we are excited to begin again March 18th and mark your calendar because we are about ready to go hot, you guys.
Yay. So more details coming soon, but we wanted to make sure you have the dates on your calendar, and we're so excited for you guys to join us. So check in the show notes for the link, and we'll be announcing it on Instagram as well.
So before we get into today's episode, we want to remind you guys to screenshot any of your favorite parts of what you're hearing today and tag us on Instagram at Elevate the Globe. And if you haven't left a review for The Elevator, we would love to see your review. And if you screenshot it and send it to us at The Elevator at elevatetheglobe.com, we will send you our magic morning checklist. So make sure to listen to our lobby talk at the end because we are going to be sharing a little bit more about our own personal readings with Ashley Wood that we were, kind of blown away by. So
going into the Akashic Records.
Woo! So without further ado, enjoy the show.
Welcome back, everyone, to The Elevator, and welcome, Ashley.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, we're so excited to have you. So for those of you listening, we have Ashley Wood, and she is an international Akashic Records reader who channels wisdom on self-love, wellness, and life work that empowers people to trust their inner knowledge. So you were really born into all of this work, and after discovering that your gifts have been in your lineage for centuries, you launched your practice only just last year. So we are so excited to hear more from you, but it's such an honor to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yes. And so the first question we always ask everyone that comes on the elevator is to just give a little elevator pitch, a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do from your perspective.
You know, you would think that I would have this prepared because I listened to your podcast. And now you're asking me this. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't think of that. Yeah. Okay. So
Just who are you?
I am, as you were saying, an international Akashic record reader. And I read and channel for people around the world in countries all over the world, like in Australia and Europe and Asia and Canada and the States. And my work is focused on helping people return to who they are, who their soul came into this life to be, and using the Akashic Records, which is the imprint of their soul's history, to remind those who I'm working with and those who consume my work of what the gifts are that they have come into this life with, and so that they feel more empowered through their life, and so that they feel more in alignment with their authentic self and they can speak their authentic truth. So I have a podcast as well, and I do one-on-one readings, and I provide courses and channeled videos and as much information as I can about the Akashic Records. My mission is to modernize them so we all know how to use them and work with them. And yeah, it's really fun. And I've only been doing this work for a couple of months, 7 months, I believe it is now. So
not even a year. Wow.
No, it's gone really quickly, and it's a blessing.
Wow.
I've returned to myself.
That's so fascinating. Yeah. So we've gotten to experience your work, both Tara and I, and it truly is exactly what you said. That's exactly how I felt. And so it's so amazing that you've stepped into this. And so I think it'd be cool to just hear how this happened. How did your life completely shift almost 7 months ago?
Yeah, for sure. I would love to share the story. I do want to say that I don't believe my story, although not everyone listening is going to be working with the Akashic Records. It's not unique in that when we tune into ourselves and these gifts and clues that we're getting from our masters, teachers, and loved ones who are the guides in the Akashic Records, and we can talk more about that later if you want, of who they are, but they give us information all day, every day. And they've explained it to me that they are our intuition, our inner knowing, and we get that information first. That's our initial thought. And then our ego follows and tells us, no, you can't do that. You shouldn't do that, whatever. So when we start tuning into ourselves, our lives can change dramatically. So I want to preface by saying that although my life changed dramatically, it was because I was tuning into myself and I was ready for that change. And every single person listening also has that ability and that power and has come into this life with a unique gift and a unique purpose to offer the world. So I was a food blogger, a vegan food blogger for 4 years. And gosh, this is a long story, but I just,
I like it. Vegan food blogger turned Akashic Records reader.
Yes. I wasn't feeling like I was delivering a message anymore that I could stand behind, because in vegan food blogging, I got into that because I was injured in a fire, in a house fire, which was basically the universe putting me back on my path.
Wow.
And I healed myself through that fire without any medicine, any, surgery, anything. I had burns all the way down my legs, my feet, and my hair, my face. And I healed it with plant-based food, like organic food, juice, water, rest. And the scars were gone after a couple of weeks. And I didn't look like I was in a fire. And it was really, really bad. The injuries were really bad. But So I went into plant-based blogging and vegan food blogging because I was very passionate. And I was like, I have this message to share. Plants are medicine. I want to share this with everybody. And then after I had my daughter, I had really severe postpartum anxiety. And I went through a period where I was like, well, I'm eating as clean as I can. I'm doing yoga every single day. I'm meditating. I'm getting outside. I'm walking. Like I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, but in alignment with myself. Like it's just not working. Like I still feel so anxious. And so it was consuming me. And so I didn't feel like I could share the message anymore that food cures everything and that it's going to be there, like it's going to do everything for you. So I started to back away from food blogging, and I didn't know what I was going to do, you guys, because I had, when I was pregnant, I told my employers and I lost my job. Like they said I couldn't go back to my job after that. So I didn't know what I was going to do. Like I had this brand new baby. I didn't have a job to go back to. I was blogging, but I didn't feel good doing that anymore. And I made the decision to stop. And I think that that is one of the most important points to say in this story, is that when you're doing something that no longer feels good to you, and you're doing something that it doesn't feel like it's lighting you up anymore. It doesn't have to be like catastrophic. It doesn't have to be like losing your job or doing this or doing that. I just didn't feel in alignment with the message anymore. I'm still vegan. I still love the food. I still like am very much into wellness, but I didn't feel in alignment with that message anymore and telling people what to eat. And I just wasn't lining up for me anymore. So I basically just surrendered to the universe in a way of like crying on the floor and being like, I will do what you tell me to do. What I have to do is stay home with my daughter and take care of her. I don't want to put her into daycare. I need to bring in an income because at the time that was very necessary, that I had to contribute. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I started to receive ideas. And this is how the masters, teachers, and loved ones talk to us. We get ideas. They like to call them shooting star ideas, where it just like comes into your mind and you're like, where did I even think of that? Like, where did that come from? And we have the choice to follow through on those ideas or not. And so often we don't. And even though I'm sitting here talking about this, it doesn't mean that I'm an expert. Like I still make what I'll call learning. I make mistakes that turn into learning opportunities all the time. But I was getting these shooting star ideas of start a podcast. And I was like, I've never thought of that before. Like I thought I'm stepping away from all this. Like I thought I'm not blogging anymore. What am I doing? Why am I doing this again? But they're like, start a podcast. And I'll preface by saying I grew up as a psychic child. So intuition and hearing from my guides and whatnot was always very normal to me because this has been my whole life, but I'm getting these messages, start a podcast. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And I thought that my podcast was going to be about food and nutrition and health and wellness, but it became very, very clear that it was actually going to be about talking about spirituality and the gifts that I've had and interpreting dreams and everything. And so when I launched my podcast, which at the time was called the Good People Podcast, I then renamed it to Manifest This. After the second episode, like episode 2 is called Things I Have to Tell You. And it's just like laying it out there for all of my food blogging community that I'm like, okay, you guys, I've been psychic my whole life. This is some of the stuff that's happened to me. This is what I haven't been telling you. Please don't leave me. But if you do, I understand. I put it out there.
Wow.
But in speaking my truth and in following these little pebbles that I was given, it's like a little scavenger hunt that you're put on by your guides. And by following this and picking up the little clues, it all just started to snowball. So then I have guests on my podcast who were talking about things like crystals, things like intuition, like all of this stuff that is deep knowledge within me, that is deep knowledge within all of us. Because if you think of a crystal, which I'm holding right now, it's a rock from the earth, and we come from the earth. Well, we come from the cosmos, but we live on the earth. Like all of this is within us, even if it seems so foreign to us. And as I'm doing this podcast, I'm learning about it more and more, learning about spirituality more and more, which is like a language that I already understood. I just didn't know the words and the concepts and the terms. And then I was introduced to a woman named Morgan Yakis, who ended up being a guest on my podcast. We had a phone call and she asked me just about myself, my past. And I was telling her like things that had happened to me psychically, like my grandmother, who was my first spiritual teacher. We were just talking about all of this. And she's like, you need the records. Like, you need the records. I'm like, well, what are the records? I don't know what that is. And she's like, the Akashic Records, you need them. Morgan and I didn't know each other at all. Like, this is just a phone call. And she's like, you need the records. So she gives me the name of this book by Dr. Linda Howe. I went out that day and bought it. I read half the book. I went into my Akashic Records. And I always say that 2 things have happened to me that have changed my life forever. Giving birth, becoming a mother, and going into the Akashic Records. That happened in March of 2018. It was unlike anything I'd ever felt before. I went into them. It was like a high through my body. I felt paralyzed for the rest of the day. It was crazy. And everyone can access the Akashic Records, but I'm not going to guarantee that it's going to feel the same, because I've learned in my records that I've worked with them for pretty much my entire existence on Earth, which hasn't been very long. I don't have very many human lives, but I've always worked with the Akashic Records. So I started doing readings for free for people just to practice, because I was like, I know how to do this. So like, can I charge money for this? Like, I never thought I would do this. This is so weird. Like, how am I even going to tell people what I do? So I'm doing these free readings, and they were blowing my mind and blowing my clients' minds. And so on June 1st, I launched a practice. And from the moment I launched my practice, every single appointment I've ever put out has filled up. I've never had a spot where it's been empty. I do between 9 and 10 readings a week. So financially, my life has changed. Lifestyle-wise, my life has completely changed. I'm starting a company now. Like, I plan on building a team to like really expand this message. And my husband quit his job. So like, he's coming home to help me and start one of our other businesses. But it's just interesting. But by following these shooting star ideas, which we all get them. And that's why I'm saying that this is not my life changed. And I'm not saying everyone who's listening to this is going to become an international Akashic record reader, but maybe you're working a job that you don't love. And you know you don't love it, but it's comfortable. It has a salary. It has the benefits. It has the holiday time. You know where to go. You know what to do. And it's not terrible. Like, you're living your life. It's fine. But are you lit up? Are you lit up? And if you're not lit up, what are those little shooting star ideas coming through telling you? Because they come through if you're going for a walk, if you're in the bath, if you're in the shower. I get the most of my downloads in the shower in the morning, like a couple minutes in the morning, and it's responding to those, and it's entertaining those, and it's saying, maybe I want to do that. Maybe I want to learn about that. And your life can change too.
Yeah. I love that. So actually, before we I feel like, could you give a definition really quick of what the Akashic Records are?
Yes.
A little bit more of a colorful explanation, so that if anyone's like, I'm not totally sure what they are, and what all you just said, like, what does it mean?
Yes, that makes perfect sense, because I didn't know what it was either. So the Akashic Records are a non-physical record. It's not an actual book that you can open up. It's a vibrational record of every experience, emotion, anything that has ever happened to you from the time your soul was created up until the present, as well as future possibilities. So you can think of it as almost like a wave or something. And it is so subtle that every thought you have is recorded. Every emotion you have is recorded. Even if you're only sad for like 10 minutes, it's recorded in your Akashic record. And every single person on the planet has one. So these records are there for us to access, that we can learn more about ourselves, our purpose. We can learn about our past lives. We can learn about future possibilities. And I say possibilities because one of our biggest lessons that I've learned in the records is free will. So we come into this life with gifts. We come into this life with a purpose, but then we also have free will to decide how we are going to utilize this purpose and these gifts. So we have future possibilities that we can use in this life.
Yeah.
And that's all in the records. And I mentioned the masters, teachers, and loved ones. And those are the light beings and guides that I channel in the records. And they're also talking to us all the time, because when our soul is created, it comes with a master or multiple masters, which are ascended light beings. And if that sounds very out there for you, just imagine it as like little glistening light, like just light beings that are protecting us, taking care of us. They live in the cosmos, like highly ascended. And then there's teachers who may have been human. Oh, the masters have never been human. Then there's teachers who may have been human, may have not been human. And they come through when we have certain lessons to learn, and then they pass. So maybe we're working on forgiveness or something. We're going to get a certain teacher or a couple of teachers that come through and help us out with that. And how do they help us? They give us these little ideas. So as we're thinking and sitting and stewing over, do I need to forgive this person? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Our teachers are feeding us little ideas, little maybe feelings in our body. Maybe we don't feel good about something and we get that little feeling of like, oh, that doesn't feel good. Those are our teachers helping us along the way of making peace, of feeling love within ourselves, of feeling love for others, of making it an easy transition through the lesson. And then there are the loved ones. And the loved ones have been human. They are humans that have passed on, that are coming to protect us. And we've known them. However, if we don't know them very well, like if we were babies, we have loved ones. So maybe they're loved ones from our family or loved ones from a past life. But right now, like us sitting here, we all have loved ones, and they are people who we have known in this life. And they're here to guide us and protect us as well. And they can come through for certain lessons and then transition on to something else. But I also work with angels. I work with the Pleiadians a lot. I work with different light beings. I work with spirit guides. So, I mean, that's tapping into the abilities that I have, like my gifts, but the records are with the masters, teachers, and loved ones. And we all have the ability to access these Akashic records. Go out and buy the book, Dr. Linda Howe's book, How to Read the Akashic Records. Go buy it. Try it out if you are interested in doing it, because we all do have this access. However, if it's something you're not interested in it, that's what I can help guide you with.
I love that. Such a cool story, just how this all came together. And I love how you explain it and just share like how it all works, because we've been reading and our whole community in 528 Academy is reading the Edgar Casey Akashic Record book. The Book of Life. Right? So we've been like starting to read through it, but it's really cool to hear how you break it all down. It's so easy to understand. Yeah. There's a lot, you know?
There is a lot. But, you know, my master's teachers and loved ones had put him in my radar a couple of months before I even heard about the Akashic Records. I didn't know who what's his last name?
Casey.
Edgar Casey. I didn't even know who he was. And obviously I still don't know very much about him. But a friend of mine on Facebook had written me an email or like a message saying, I listened to your episode of Things I Have to Tell You on your podcast, and you need to look into Edgar Casey. And I was like, I don't know who this person is. So it was like they were putting these little ideas in my mind, and they don't have these shooting star ideas, don't have to come from ourselves. They, like our guides, our masters, teachers, and loved ones, they plant these little teachers in our lives, these little seeds for us to pick up. They're like little clues. And there is a lot, like it can be complicated, but it can also be broken down so simply in that we are energy. Our emotions are energetic vibrations. They are recorded as energy. We can understand these energetic recordings. So although it seems really big and complicated, that's the human side of us. It is, right? It is a little, like when we break it down, it's not as complicated as it may seem.
It's so simple.
Yeah. It's kind of, so I remember we had like a 30-minute reading a couple weeks ago, and I loved it so much because it was just, it, you know, you were telling me that you were really reading for me what was coming forth the most, right? That what, like, you know, when you go into the records, there's probably this massive book or whatever, if it's not really an actual physical book, right? It's like a physical, it's like a vibration.
It's vibrational. It's
vibrational.
Not a book.
Right. So it's all of this information that was coming forth, and there were a couple things that we went through. And you told me that it was something that I could bring into my life as a program.
I don't remember that. I don't remember my readings. Like I just read and I don't remember them. So
so it's interesting. Like, is that how most of the readings for you go, where it's like whatever the soul is kind of calling forth is what's kind of shown?
Yes. Okay. So we could spend eternity in the records because they are limitless. Like they're limitless. You can go in there and find anything you need about yourself. You can call it your Google search for your soul, because if you're going to Google something about your soul, the Akashic Records are going to have the answer. But when you go into the records for a reading, like if I go in for myself and I have a question, I'm going to find that answer. But if you go in, the masters, teachers, and loved ones are only going to really bring forward for you what you need to know in that time. So although I might be like, well, why is this happening to me? They may not give me the entire backstory as to why I'm now feeling like this, but they're going to say, this is what is in your life right now, or this is the little piece of information from a past life that you need to know right now that's going to empower you to go through with it, or to get over it, or to learn from it, or whatever. So yes, you're right. They bring forward what you need in the moment to either heal or feel empowered or feel supported or feel comfortable. They bring those answers forward. So sometimes people come in for readings or like book with me and they just want to know about past lives. And they're just like, just tell me about my past lives. I'm so interested. And I'm like, we're not going to learn everything about your past lives. They're going to give me like 45 minutes worth of information, which is not a lot of information considering a lifetime and many of them. But they're going to share the small bits of information that are going to make the most sense for your current life right now. Like maybe why you are afraid of letting someone in to take care of you and love you, or maybe why you have issues with money, or maybe why you have issues expressing yourself, or maybe why you're afraid to travel, or whatever, like any kind of blocks that you have in this current life that are blocking you in this current moment. That's the information that's going to come forward as to how to best support that and work with that.
Right. Okay.
So cool.
I love that. Yeah.
I mean, it makes so much sense. And I think, it is just about like how you can go back and grab what you need to help you moving forward. Cause like you said, it's like if we spent our whole this lifetime going into the past life, then we're not really even living.
Exactly. And I think that's why my intention with this is to support people to listen to these shooting star ideas instead, because I have worked with people where if they have a question, they're like, well, let's ask the Akashic Records. Let's go into the Akashic Records. I'm like, no, that's not what it's like. Yes, it's there for that. But our lesson is to tune into ourselves, to return to ourselves, who our soul is, without that extra validation, without that extra reinforcement. So it's returning to who you are, remembering who you are, listening to that first voice that you hear. The masters, teachers, and loved ones always say that's your inner knowing, that's your intuition. If you have a question, like even if it's as simple as like you're at a store and you're buying a sweater and you're like, do I like this sweater or not? The first feeling that you get, whether it's a knowing, or you can see yourself in that sweater, or you feel it, like whatever it is, that's your answer. So whether you go into the Akashic Records or not, you can work with them on a daily basis. You can work with your masters, teachers, and loved ones on a daily basis in practicing, working with that first initial thought and feeling that you get, because the second one that comes is your ego. And the ego is not something to be shy of, or not something to run away from, or not something to hide from, because the ego always shows us where our opportunities for development are. Like it always tells us, you feel weak here? Okay, I'm going to play with that. But that's the area then where we can go and work on. And maybe if you want to go into the records, that's where you go in. But yeah, I definitely I don't support needing to go into the records for absolutely everything. We are human in physical form. We have all chosen to be here. We have all chosen to incarnate here. We have the power to use these guides that come through for us and to give us this information.
Right.
And that's the lesson.
Yeah. I think, I can see where it's really just about the awareness, is like if you're doing it or not. Like, I am more of a person now that doesn't really go get a lot of readings done or anything. But I enjoy them, but I used to need them because I was almost developing my trust with my intuition. And so I was using it as like a sounding board. Like, I got that too. Like, did you get that, kind of thing. But I wasn't even at the awareness for a long time that's like, I was kind of using it as a crutch for a while. And then I started using it as a tool. And then I started using it less, and then using it when I actually wanted some like bigger information to come through and some more guidance. So I think people go through like this journey with it. Do you find?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know?
And like I get readings too, not very often either, but I think that we all have teachers in our life and we can all seek that outside counsel for support. And especially people who are giving a lot of energy all the time, like yourself, like you're giving. So sometimes it's just nice to be cared for as well.
I know.
Like it really is. So I get readings too. Not very often. I have a sister from a past life who I feel like is a sister in this life. Natalie Miles. She's a psychic intuitive. She's amazing. And I get readings from her. Or just text messages where I like text her. I'm like, can you tune in for me? Like, I just feel blocked. I just feel like, can you just tell me what this is? And she'll tell me and she's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay, good. So I guess like we just help each other out in that way. But I love sitting down for readings too, which is why I offer this and which is why I love reading for people. And in no way am I like, don't ever get readings because I get them too. And like, this is my business. But the goal is to tune into yourself and trust yourself. And then maybe once on your birthday or once every 6 months, or you all of a sudden go through a hard time in life where you're just like, I just need this extra support like every week right now because I just need a little bit of guidance. That's why there are people around who can support through that.
Yeah, it's like spiritual support.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. It's like you go get your hair done sometimes because it feels really good.
It feels
and
good.
Makes you feel, it's self-care.
It is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, at a soul level.
Exactly, which is actually the most important place to take care of yourself.
Right? And I think a lot of times it's like the shooting star ideas that you're talking about. It's like people are put in our path to have readings from or to support us in some way because it's what's right. And
exactly.
You know what I mean? So like following that guidance or following what shows up like you did with the book, you know?
Exactly. And maybe you already know that lesson, but that person is just coming in to like reiterate it. Like you said, you used it as a sounding board. And when I go into the Akashic Records, I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know about yourself. I'm reading your soul. Like I'm reading your energy. So nothing that comes through is something that you don't know. Maybe you're just not completely conscious of it right now because it's in your soul, it's in your subconscious. But I've had people who had a reading with me like 6 months ago when I started, and they'll email me and they'll be like, I cannot believe how much everything finally makes sense. Like I wrote it all down. I listened to it. I thought about it. I like tried to work on it. It wasn't making sense. And now it's just all there. And I myself have had readings where it takes like 9 months for something to come through.
For sure.
But everything I'm sharing is all a part of you. And so it is just that soundboard sometimes that you need, that confirmation.
Right? Like everything you told me, it was like 3 big things that I had been kind of playing with, but that when they came through, I was like, okay, my soul really is telling me these 3 things are actually what I'm worth, like what my energy should be directed towards to kind of move through and really go big. So I really appreciated it.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I like have my reading open and I like think about it a lot because it was just a few weeks ago and I'm like, oh, what can I, like, I love to look back even a couple weeks later and go, what has already changed?
Yeah,
you know?
I know. I think we should, in our lobby talk for this episode, share all about it so people can hear.
Yes.
But I'm like, that would be perfect. But yeah, I just had mine like right before we started this.
So Britt's in the energy.
Yeah, but it is, to me, it really felt like organizing bits and pieces that had come up to my conscious mind that I have not been able to organize yet. So it's just so helpful because you have these feelings or these inclinations or these signs, but it hasn't been completely brought conscious yet to work with.
Exactly. But
you
like,
know?
as I'm sharing it, you're like, oh, I know that. I just haven't really thought about that. Or this is all making sense to me. I just haven't thought of it that way, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I love that.
So how are you like, so I've read a little bit, honestly. I've been starting to read Edgar Cayce books and I'm understanding that, you know, the Akashic Record is a vibrational frequency that we talked about. So how are you attuning your frequency? Like, is there a practice that you have or are you just sort of innately doing it when you're opening up into the records?
It's like asking someone like it's my gift.
Yeah.
So it would be like me being like going to someone who can just sit down and play guitar really beautifully and be like, how do you do that? I practice all day. I can't do it. It's not that I can't do it. I just don't do it as effortlessly as you do. And it's the gift that I have. And we all have gifts. And so I haven't had to try.
You had to try.
Like I just do it. I just open up. But from the time I was a kid, like from the time I was a little girl, I was receiving messages. I was having dreams where I was astral traveling. Like one of the dreams was when it really started to get vivid when I was, I think I was probably 19. So this was a bit later in life, not as a little kid, but I had a dream and it was where like in my dream, I was walking down a street of the hometown where I grew up and everything was in Technicolor. And it was like, I knew I was in a different dimension in my dream. And I was walking with this man and he said to me, he was like, don't swat at that bee. There was a bee buzzing around. He's like, if you swat at the bee, you have to leave this place. And I was like, oh, okay. So then he said to me, he was like, June 4th, 1942, tell her I'm sorry. And then I woke up and I wrote it down. And I went to my grandma's house the next day, who's no longer with us. And she said, she got very emotional. And she said, that was the date of my father's funeral. And my brother took everything from me that was left in the will. So I had in my dream gone to a different dimension and been with been with her brother who had deceased. I'd never met him before. And he told me the date and told me to tell her he was sorry, like he was apologizing. So
I just got the chills.
Wow,
through my life, like this is not the first time this has happened. Like I always got it through my dreams. Like I always got messages through my dreams and I was going to different dimensions in my dreams. And once I got pregnant, it opened up in an unbelievable way. I communicated with my daughter before she was born and she told me how she died in her previous life, the date, her age, that she had been waiting for a life or a family to join and that she was joining our family. Like it was just, she chose her name, like everything was there. And my intuitive abilities were getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And I was channeling deceased family members. I was channeling spirit guides. Like it was getting really, really, really strong. So I knew something was building up, but I didn't know where it was building up to. And so when I go into the records, it's a remembering, like I know how to do it.
That's how I feel about astrology.
Yeah.
You just like
you
know
have a
how.
remembering. Yeah. But I do have certain practices. Like I was showing you my crystal before our reading. I have a crystal that called out to me in a store and it's my coworker. When I hold it.
Does it have a name?
No, I should name it though. I feel like it's like feminine energy. I hold it and it helps me channel more clearly. And then I, at home, like light sage or light Palo Santo, or I have like a cleansing spray. Like I do certain things to keep energy clear, which helps through with channeling. I don't drink any alcohol at all. It's prohibited to drink alcohol 24 hours before going into the Akashic Records. And because I'm in them all the time, I just don't have any at all.
Yeah.
I eat pretty clean, like vegan, and very unprocessed, although I do eat a lot of chocolate, but I eat like I do certain things to keep my aura and energy clear. But I mean, it is just a remembering.
That's so amazing. Well, thanks for sharing. Cause I feel like for other people who are unlocking their gifts, it's just really nice to hear, you know, how it feels and how you're doing it and just how it's kind of come through. So
yeah. And I think it's important too. And I read for so many people who are like, I know I'm psychic. I know I'm this, I know I'm that. How do I do this? And it all comes back to tuning into yourself and to not look at other people. It's so hard in this day and age when you look at Instagram or you look at YouTube or podcasts and you're like, this is how this person's doing it. So this is how I must do it too.
Yeah.
But it's always like in the records, they always say to go back to yourself. Maybe you journal, maybe you have a shower in the morning and you just tune in. And it's whenever you remove the trying and allow things to naturally flow, like I had nothing left, you know, like I didn't have a job. I didn't want to do food blogging anymore. I was so sick with postpartum anxiety. I had nothing left. Like I was an open vessel. And sometimes you have to get to that point. And I'm not saying everybody who wants to open up and channel has to get to that point. But sometimes when you are just stripped down of absolutely everything and you can't try because you don't have the energy to try, that's when it comes through. And I have gone into the records before where I'm trying at the very beginning. When I went in, I was like, I want it to be this way. I want to hear this. I want to hear this. We can't control it.
You can't.
We can't control it. It's being completely open and allowing to come through what is going to come through and surrendering to that and knowing that it's not scary, that it's there for your support, that it's there for your highest evolvement, and that we just can't control what comes through.
Yeah.
It's give up the control.
Right?
Release.
Such a good lesson. So have you gotten guidance or information as to like how the Akashic Records is kind of showing up right now on the planet to help heal? Because I feel like the fact that like, you're working with it and it could just be like the vibration that we're in and that you're in and matching and meeting up and stuff. But it feels like it's something that's being talked about more and being brought to the awareness of more people. Would you say that's right? And why?
Yes. I'm not sure. I haven't asked.
Okay.
But only 2 weeks ago, it came through that when I first started working with them, it came through that this is your life work. This is what you tell people about, talk about. This is your job. Like, this is your work, and you will be taken care of. Like, you will be financially supported. You will be taken care of, but you need to trust in this and you need to do this. And then it came through recently that my role is actually modernizing the Akashic Records and not just talking about them, but putting a modern twist to them. So I've even like tweaked how I'm presenting them on social media in like a not like spiritual woo-woo way, even though I hate that term because we're all energy and everything is energy, but in a way that is very relatable and very like it's a shooting star idea. It's these people who come into our lives as teachers. The masters, teachers, and loved ones are our guides that come through. They're higher ascended than spirit guides, but they're all playing on the same team. Like we all have this team behind us. And my language that I'm speaking is the language of the masters, teachers, and loved ones. Like those are the players that I'm bringing forward and modernizing. And we're entering into a new time where our consciousness is expanding as a collective. So we're able to grasp these new ideas. We're able to grasp these new ways of thinking, and that we have a team working with us, which even like 50 years ago, we were just thinking differently. Things were different. And so I do believe that people like you and myself are being put in this work to bring these ideas forward because we can use them to continue growing and expanding and evolving. But I have not asked them about why it's showing up more, but I have seen them more.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Well, I feel like it's just so nice to have you here in person and be with us and to share more about this and really kind of further your own goal of modernizing them and bringing them to more people. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me and giving me the opportunity and holding space for me. It's so nice to be here in person.
I know. So awesome. So we do have a couple last questions that we always ask. So right now, what is your favorite way to elevate yourself?
My favorite way to elevate myself right now is to eat intuitively, which is something I'm really, really working on. I love the celery juice. I love the green smoothies in the morning. I love it all, but I live in a place where it's really cold. And so sometimes I wake up in the morning and I just want to have like hot tea and hot porridge. And sometimes I want to have a square of chocolate first thing in the morning. And sometimes I don't feel like eating until the end of the day. And tuning into my body and really feeling my body for what it's asking for and not just what I think I'm supposed to be feeding it because of X, Y, and Z or whatever. Like I'm supposed to have a smoothie in the morning because that's what I'm supposed to do. Like really listening to my body intuitively and being my own guide and my own healer is what's elevating me right now. But it's a constant practice. Like it really is. And I feel like even food blogging for 4 years, I'm really learning about my body. And after having a child and breastfeeding and whatnot, it's a whole process. So that's elevating me. And also tuning into my soul. I've been doing so much inner work. Like I'm going through a major transformation right now. And I feel like I'm being presented with lessons and tests every single day, and it's kind of overwhelming. But journaling and just really not being afraid of doing the heavy lifting and the deep work of knowing myself. Like, I practice what I preach. What I talk about, returning to yourself, I'm doing the exact same thing right now. So that's elevating me.
I love it.
Yeah.
All the lessons.
All the lessons.
Firing off. So the last question we always ask is, if you were in front of the whole world and everyone was listening to you and you had one message to give, what would that be?
The message that I have for anyone listening right now is that you hold power within yourself to do anything that is going to serve your higher purpose. And what I mean by that is whatever brought you joy when you were a child, if you just loved making art and right now you're sitting there and wondering, like, I'm working this office job. This is something that I used to love doing. This is ringing true to me. This is reminding me of what I used to love to do, but I don't have any time to do it. Do it. The Akashic Records always say, when I go into the records and I'm like, and I'm reading for a client or for myself, like, how do I bring happiness into my life again? I'm unhappy. I'm not connected to myself. They always say to play, to bring play into your life, to bring fun into your life, enjoyment into your life. So if that means like taking an entire day to just color or to go outside or to go for a walk, do whatever is connecting back into your soul, what is making you so just joyful, what is bringing you peace, what is bringing you just this connection to yourself that is making you feel so blissful. And I hesitate to use the word happy because that's almost overused at this point, but just what is making you feel content and peaceful within yourself. Because in bringing yourself back to yourself and whatever makes you happy, which I just said, whatever makes you happy, whatever brings you that type of just enjoyment, that is how you're going to return to yourself and how you're going to feel these shooting star ideas as possibilities and how you're going to be able to see this entirely different life for yourself as a possibility. It's giving yourself that happiness and that love for yourself first, because at the beginning of the day, the end of the day, and in the middle of the day, we are energy and energy is love.
Done.
Oh, love that. Drop the mic. That was just channeling through. Oh my God. I love that. So where can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram. I am at _Ashley Wood on Instagram. My website is ashleywood.life. And then my podcast is Manifest This. So that website is manifestthishow.com. And I also want to say that I have a Facebook group on Facebook called the Manifest This Soul Circle that is growing quite quickly, that people can go and join in. And it's a place where you can openly speak about spirituality, any kind of questions you have. It is so active. People are writing in there every single day, and there are like long comment threads, and people are so supportive and so active. And really, you can share anything in there. If you don't have a friend or a family member or something that you want to talk about spirituality with, but you really need that type of support, go to that group, Manifest This Soul Circle. People will be there to help and support and listen. And I also just want to quickly say that on April 1st, I'm launching a workshop of, 6 different workshops at one time. And it's all about returning to yourself. So how to feel loved, how to feel well, like healthy, how to feel in alignment, how to feel abundant. And the entire course, like all the workshops, are channeled material that I got from the Akashic Records, all exercises, journaling, meditations to really work on yourself in that way. And there is also one called Becoming, where if you feel like you have nowhere to turn right now, you're just learning who you are, like you're getting to know yourself. Like you're like, I don't even know what I like anymore, because I read for people like that who are like, I don't even know what I like. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what brings me happiness. If I have a moment to myself, I just sit down and go on my phone because I don't know what else to do. And that workshop is for those people. And then after that one, there are a series of 5 different ones that you can choose and go to, just to really bring yourself back to yourself, to return to yourself, and to remember your gifts and remember your purpose here, and to bring yourself that love that I was just talking about.
I love it.
So please
Very cool.
stay tuned for that.
So cool. I love everything that you're offering and how you're sharing this. It's just healing So healing. Such beautiful, loving, healing energy. So thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Yes.
So thank you so much to Ashley. We hope you guys loved hearing that conversation. If you're new to the Akashic Records, it is so exciting to really dive into this whole world. So we're really excited to share with you guys more about our Akashic Records reading. So we'll head on into the lobby talk for that.
It's time for Lobby Talk.
So we are excited to talk Akashic Record readings as far as our experience with you guys. So that was so fun to talk to Ashley. And so before we had her on the podcast, we each had sessions with her that were 30 minutes each to just kind of get a feel for it. And because it's fun for us, like, why would we say no to that?
Yeah, exactly. Never would say no.
And yeah, we're really excited about her work. So we wanted to check it out. And we've also been getting a lot of messages about Akashic Records in general.
Yes.
And we're reading the book, like we mentioned, in the 528 Academy. So you guys know how this works. When you start to be called to something, it just shows up in all the ways. So we're really being called to it. So we thought we would share a little bit about our reading and what came through so you guys can hear.
Yeah, like a little idea of what happens.
Right?
Mhm.
And then maybe like take away something for yourself.
Totally.
So
You go into it.
okay.
Yours is fun.
So she basically goes into her thing, does her prayers, and then closes her eyes the whole time and opens the Akashic Records. And then you have the option to ask questions. So really my first question was just asking about if there's anything specific that I need to shift right now to elevate to the next level. So what she saw was like wind and storm and gray and kind of all of this chaotic, fast energy happening. And so what came through about that is that, you know, in the recent past, it's basically been that my strength has been tested and I've had to move really fast with a lot that's been coming because a lot has been moving. So now to kind of move out of that, now that I've proven my strength, it's time to really step back and scale back and say no to more things so that I can remove this wind in everything that's been created and get grounded in a deeper way and get a lot of clarity on, you know, what's really important. So it's just about restructuring, knocking some things off and not cramming as much in. And the message, which I've been getting in so many multiple ways these last couple of weeks, is less is more and how to align to put less energy and accomplish the same or more with less. So really learning and, you know, listening about how to do that. And she said, that's basically what's going to clear this dust and this storm. So the other cool thing she channeled for me is to really be starting out my day slow and then have a peak in the middle of the day that doesn't have to be where everything happens, but just where kind of most of my energy is put out, and then kind of slowing down towards the end of the day. So that was kind of cool that came through specifically.
Yeah, because you used to like to work like really late at night and you were kind of like always on the go with your energy.
Yeah. Because I have so much of it.
You
and
have so much of it.
with Everest too, it's kind of like so unpredictable.
Yeah.
When I can channel my energy into things. So I feel like it is more sporadic. But even in the last 5 or 7 days since, you know, this happened, I've just kind of been seeing how I can really consciously do this a little bit more. And it's been changing everything because It's just been a little bit more intentional as far as scheduling and processes, even with Everest's bedtime and yeah, just the work schedule and all
everything.
of it.
Yeah.
So it's cool to kind of look at, where your energy is and how it's best used and how you can kind of structure your day to go slowly up and slowly down if that feels like that might work for you too. So that was cool. So much stuff, you guys. I literally have like 5 pages, but I just want to talk about the cool highlights. So the other thing is that she basically saw blue and green for my heart and throat chakra. And she said that I have an additional chakra that's in between those 2 chakras. And so she was really talking about how bringing those 2 chakras in alignment is really one of my biggest purposes here on earth. And she channeled in an angel that was called something like Gloria or Glory or Glow. And that was basically like an angel that's here with that chakra, helping me on my highest self connection. So she saw it as a gold color, and it's really like representing the highest realm of peace and serenity with my life work and the purpose of the passion that I have in my heart and the truth from my voice. So that was cool because she basically says that like she knows I have so much to say, but it's going to become more intentional with, how to say it and saying it with love and kindness and truth always. But she basically like channeled that I've had 268 lives and all of them have been about wanting to speak out or needing to speak out about something. All of them. And she saw me like in government townships, needing to get a certain message out, and in like a domestic, that lifetime I was as a man. Then I was in a domestic, like wife, mother only kind of thing where I had to get the truth out about something. And she said it's not something that I'm like learning in different lifetimes. It's actually a part of my soul that's been traveling with me the whole time. So it's cool to think about things that are just like traveling with your soul.
Right. And not something that like you need to actually, like you're not doing something because it's like you're not doing it right because you feel that and you're not expressing it as much. It's like, it's just always in you. So just activate it.
Absolutely.
Right. It's not like you're trying to learn how to do it. It's like you already know how to do it. So just do it.
Yeah. And I'm doing it.
And you're doing it. Yeah.
But it's like, it makes so much sense, when you start to piece all these things together. It's like, it's why Elevate the Globe is here is because how strongly we both feel to get this message out. But I don't know, it's just cool to kind of look in the Akashic Records and see like, oh, of course, this is why we're doing this, because literally been all of the past lives and my whole soul purpose and mission.
So funny.
Right? So yeah, the lesson that I chose for this lifetime is to just use it intentionally, like use messages intentionally. So there was so much more, from different questions I asked, but there was rainbows. There was some stuff about like people in my life and how to kind of let them go and think of who you want in your home as far as who is like really close and, who you're giving a lot of energy to.
Yeah, like didn't she say like who you actually want to think about your friends and family or just your friends and the people in your life as like, who would you want to come over to the house and have stay?
Yes.
And stay for a long time. And those are the people that your soul basically is telling you to keep in your life right now.
Yes.
Like keep really close contact with, right?
Yeah, because we have contracts with people and sometimes the contracts ended.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that you have to cut off ties with them completely. She explained it like, they were showing her to explain it to me that there's a rainbow that's always connected to you and them, and love can go back and forth. But sometimes, putting an end to a close relationship or a relationship in general is really an act of learning your worth and learning your boundaries. And it's okay to feel sad, of course, and cry. And but really it's expanding deeper love for yourself and calling in, more love in other relationships.
Right. I love it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's interesting because just like the sort of calling in more self-love and self-worth when you cut off ties with other relationships, a lot of my reading was about that in general. Mine was really just really loving myself deeply and knowing that I have a lot to offer. It's something I've kind of always known, but I've struggled with being really confident about it because I have perfectionist tendencies and I'm always poking at myself and trying to make myself better because I feel like nobody else is going to do that for you except for you. At least I will only accept it for myself, no one else. And I'm like, oh geez. So anyways, kind of just stop kind of doing that and just know that you have a lot to offer and that knowing that when you're giving to people and, working on the receiving aspect, it's knowing that you still hold power when you're giving to somebody. You're not giving your power away to people when you're giving to them. So I think that was kind of sometimes like in relationships, romantic ones for me, it felt like I was giving my power away if I was giving because I wasn't actually able to receive because I didn't feel worthy of receiving. So there was a lot of this going on, just kind of like reframing the mindset of like just knowing you have a lot to offer and it's okay to just totally give and know that you're not giving your power away. You're just being truthful. Mm-hmm. And I've started to practice that in the last couple years. But it's actually becoming like really ingrained in me. Like, you're not giving your power away when you're just telling people how you feel. And if you love them and just go like, I don't care if you feel the same way or not, but I just need to tell you so that you know. That's not giving my power away. That's just me honoring my truth and speaking how I feel. And it makes me feel good to say that. So I don't need anything in return, but I will accept whatever you want to give in return if you want to, kind of thing. So
I like that.
Yeah, that was like kind of what was
That's huge.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It was like the overall fear of giving power away. When you're trying to give to people, it's like you're not giving your power away. You're not.
Right?
It's just you're sharing your truth.
And then receiving
more. And yeah, it's and being open to receiving whatever it looks like to receive it. Whatever it looks like to receive it back. And not having like being super tied to a certain outcome that needs to come back to you.
Yeah.
It's like just receive what people want to give back to you or what the universe wants to give back to you for giving. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so that's just kind of a big thing that went through. And she was really talking to me about not selling myself short anymore. Again, this all kind of goes into this self-worth stuff. When you don't have really good self-worth and you're not really valuing yourself, you kind of play it small and you sell yourself short. So just really not doing that anymore. And you got to kind of move past that. And this is my soul talking to me. So it's, she's not really telling me this. It's kind of like my soul is telling me this stuff. And it's basically like my soul is like, it's time, And then she did tell me that I've been a priestess in many lifetimes before. I have a big tie to Egypt, which comes to me a lot. I have a fascination with Egypt. And she saw me with jewels all over my fingers. And really, she was like, just channeling, you've come here to experience the physical world again and really like actually be okay with wealth and understanding like money and prosperity and not for like just to have power that way. It's more of commanding my own self. So like when I command my own self, myself, everything gets bigger and more abundant. So it's not for like status or anything. It's more just like commanding my own power. So it all comes back to you. She's like, you got to, you've got all of these lifetimes where you were rising above what people expected of you. And I have felt that my whole life. Like really, like I've always kind of looked around like nobody's going to expect the things that I'm going to do. And I've always had that thought and I'm like, what am I going to do? But I'm like, nobody's going to expect it from me because I can rise from the ashes kind of is how I feel. And she's like, you've been doing this for many lifetimes, just like how you've been speaking out. So rising above. So, she's like, it's really you channeling your energy and commanding your power and really owning yourself this lifetime, being you. And so and she said some stuff about my clairvoyant abilities that I really need to be free writing more, and that I really need to learn how to go into the records, that it's a program that I can bring into my life to really utilize. So I just think a lot of it was very interesting, but it all came back to that power and self-worth stuff. So, those are themes in my lifetime that have been there for a long time. And it's fun to kind of see how far you've come already and what the next level of, growth comes from those things. And I'm excited to kind of take the next level to it, like rise above. Fully into the light with some of those shadow pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like I've been watching them in the shadows and kind of reframing them, and it's now time to move up.
Yes.
And out and like rise like a phoenix, like a little bit of a Scorpio metaphor, like rise out of the ashes.
Yep.
With some of it, but it's been they've been doing good things for me. They've been teaching me a lot. So now they're going to teach me the higher level things of how the positive aspects of the lessons. So I'm excited about that.
So cool.
Yeah.
This is just so awesome.
Right?
I really love when, to me, it's like, kind of puzzle pieces coming together and just giving you a little bit more insight. But yeah, we can all go into the Akashic Records and learn how to do it if we feel called to it. And it's just like accessing this higher information that's recorded in energy as a vibration. And so I like how she said for free writing for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was like, they want to channel through you through writing. And it was something I used to do. And I kind of stopped doing it.
For sure.
I stopped doing it. And so I love to kind of read back of what I've been free writing sessions. And I'm like, oh my God, all that stuff happened. So it's a fun practice to pick up.
So cool. And I think everybody can, if you haven't free written.
I don't know, but I almost tried to say it too. And I'm like, I don't know what it is. But yeah,
it'll probably help you guys. And the other thing she said for me that I think could help you guys kind of on that topic is, she said like that I received so many downloads, which I know so many of you guys do too, especially as you're, really diving into all the Kundalini and meditation. And she said to just write it down and, it doesn't have to be actually executed or shared right away.
Yeah.
And I liked the comfort of her saying that the vibration of the best time, like when it actually comes out or it's actually executed or there's any output with what you input and receive from the downloads, will be the perfect vibration and the best time.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of is cool because I think so many times we all get so many downloads and it's overwhelming and we're like,
I don't know what to do with all of it.
Yeah, you forget. And then you're like, don't write it down. And then time goes on and you kind of lose the energy of it. So writing it down.
Yes.
When you channel for like free writing stuff or just when you receive these downloads and yeah, look back on it and just trust that, it'll come forth in the perfect and best time.
Yeah. So you guys, we hope you've enjoyed hearing our experiences. And I feel like we just kind of went into a little vortex here of explaining these things. And I hope that you really enjoyed Ashley too, because we were just really blessed to actually have met her because we do feel like a soul connection with her for sure.
Yes.
So like a soul remembrance. So it's been fun. And let us know what your favorite part of today's episode was. And any questions you have, tag us on Instagram at Elevate the Globe, screenshot everything, tag us, we repost everything. So I always love to see it. So
yeah, and we're so excited for our 21-day Elevate Higher Challenge. So definitely sign up for that. Grab your workbook. We'll announce it as soon as it comes out. And also, if you guys haven't signed up for Joshua Tree yet, we are filling up fast. I think at this point, as we're recording, we have like 38 people signed up. So we're really excited for us to sell out and have a bunch more people join us and just be under the full moon for this sacred moon camp out in Joshua Tree, May 16th to the 19th.
Yeah.
And we'll put that link in the show notes as well.
So with that, you guys, may the pure light within you guide your way on.
Sat Nam.
Sat Nam, everyone.